Hi everybody! So in this video I decided I will talk a little bit about romantasy and what I think about this whole subject. First of all, I think we should start by agreeing what romantasy is. It's a new genre, I would say. It was appearing before, but I think this year and maybe since 2021 it started getting the popularity they never had. And it is a subgenre of fantasy fiction that combines fantasy and romance, obviously bringing to fantasy many of the elements and conventions of the romance genre. One of the key features of romantic fantasy involves the focus on relationships, social, political, and obviously romantic. At least that's what Wiki says and what I will go with. In my opinion, after 4 to 5 years of this genre existing, we can say way more, and I think that some parts that I've just read don't apply right now anymore, at least for what I saw in books that are coming out this year. For example, I don't see that much political relationships anymore. But let's start from the beginning. The first time I heard about this subgenre, I was pretty exciting. Obviously, my first thoughts were kind of like Twilight. Obviously, I think everybody thought it's gonna be something like Twilight, which I don't mind. I actually enjoy Twilight. I read it twice, and I still like it. It's silly, it's goofy, it doesn't make sense most of the time. That's why I love it. And books like that would broaden my reading horizons, because I don't really like romances. I mostly read fantasies, dystopians, horror and thrillers, which for most of my younger years were dominated by male authors. Don't get me wrong, male authors are also good as much as female authors. In my opinion, everybody is a good author if they try. But there is one thing that I see all the time. If there is a book written by male author, 9 times out of 10 it's gonna be written in a language that I don't really like. It's gonna be pretty tough to go through. It's gonna be more like a shopping list, which my partner loves and I don't really like. I will be able to read the book through if the book is good, but I usually don't have a mood for a book of that kind. So when I heard romantasy, it meant that more women gonna be writing this subgenre of fantasy, which I love fantasy, and I don't mind romance in a fantasy. So I predicted that if the women are gonna write more fantasies that are gonna be named romantasy because they're gonna have a little bit more of a romance inside them, there will be more books that I will enjoy, that I can cozy up, read, that will be beautifully written, like rhythmic, delicate, like I can just flow through. Because romances cannot be written with a tough language and are making you stop and think all the time, what are you actually reading? Because that's not the point of the romance genre. Romance is there to make you cozy, sad, or feel emotions. It's not there to make you extremely think about every little word you're reading from the page, which is amazing. We need that book sometimes. So I knew if we combined those two, you'll have a really interesting, deep, full of story plots books that are gonna be written like a romantasy, like it's really delicate and easy to comprehend. And in the beginning, it worked. I loved reading romantasies. It was really good, really fun. The enemies to lovers, the friendship to lovers, the comrades to lovers, I don't care. Even though I really love the enemies to lover as every other girly does. But after like year or two, whole gaze started, I saw a little issue. Every time I get a new book recommendation, obviously most of the time from the TikTok, the books are lacking. And I'm not saying they are badly written or the art cover is ugly or anything, because those things, in the grand scheme of things, don't really matter. They are lacking the plot, which I never thought I would say about a real published book. How published book can lack a plot? Let me tell you, and I will use an example, but I will not tell what's the name of the book because maybe some people like it and I don't want to shade anybody. I decided to not post anything about this book on any of my social media because it was so bad. I DNF'd it and I DNF'd ROMANTASY as a whole, like 2 years ago, I think. It was about two guys that were supposed to fall in love sooner or later. It was shown as kinda enemies to kinda lovers, not exactly enemies to lovers. So I wasn't expecting that. But it was supposed to be a warm-hearted romance with a lot of tough subject about political subject, racism, etc., etc., etc. But in Poland, we have books that are called harlequins. I don't know if they're anywhere else, that's why I'm saying that in Poland we have them. Those are books that are usually like 100 pages, maybe 200 pages, and they are only about spice scene. There is nothing else. There is a spice with spice and spice and spice. And that's how I felt. I thought this book was plus 16, so I thought they're maybe gonna, kiss, maybe some nudity. But no, it was full on spice, and it started with weird spice that I didn't like, an extremely disgusting scene. I mean, the scene was supposed to be disgusting because it was SA, but it wasn't disgusting in this way. It was so lightheartedly written. It didn't have any depth to it, especially that it was two first pages. We didn't know who those guys are, and they had like previous relationship before, and then some stuff happens after. So in like first 20 pages, our love interests were already in love. The other guy, even though he was essayed, he didn't have issue with anything, and that's what all happened. There was nothing. There was a pause here because I was thinking if I should say politics or anything else, but no, there was nothing in there. I didn't get to know nothing other that, yeah, in this city we don't like the gays, but in that city we love gays. That's all I knew, and I read 200 pages, and it was so bad. Especially that reading that, I felt like I'm not reading gay romances, which I'm a girl and I'm an LGBT. I love gay romances. But I felt like I am reading some hetero thing that after reviewing, somebody decided that, it's a good book, but I am not sure if it will sell as a hetero thing because it's not popular right now. So could you make this character a man, not a female, but a male? So we can just like make it gay? And I bet to some of you it sounds ridiculous what I just said, but to most of you it probably sounds pretty familiar because there is a lot of books, series, movies, etc. that have this, that had a couple that was supposed to be hetero, but now LGBT is popular, so we will make it gay. And it doesn't feel gay, so it's defeating the purpose. And this book wasn't the first that made me feel cheated in a romantasy section, because I read since 2022, I think, at least 12 books like that. Not exactly gay books, maybe some of them were definitely hetero, but they were promising us a lot of plot, a lot of politics, a lot of fighting, and some romance, or a lot of romance but also a lot of politics. But what was happening most of the time, the romance was sorted out in the first, 50 pages, and then we didn't know about anything about politics, world building, powers, nothing. And after 50 pages I was just simply not interested in anything because the couple was already together. They're probably gonna stay together, or they're gonna break up, go together, break up, get together again, break up again, cry, get together again. And I don't want that. I don't want the romantasy to be romance with maybe a little bit of fairy powers. I want it to be a fantasy that has a lot of romance in it, because that's what it's supposed to be. For example, everybody hates on The Court of Thorn and Roses. Oh my god, I said it right. Because they say it's boring, it's repetitive, it's been done before, but what they don't look at, it's a year of the publishing. Because the Court of Thorn and Roses, even though I didn't finish the series, it wasn't my cup of tea, even though I will probably finish it someday, it was released pretty early on. It was one of the first of that romantasy kind. And it's pretty good, even though I didn't finish it. It has story, it has magic powers, it doesn't have that much as I like and how much it's usually in the fantasy worlds, but it's enough to call it fantasy-ish. And in my opinion, it's a perfect example of romantasy, because there is a lot of romance, but there is also a lot of politics, a lot of powers and power dynamics, and yes, it does have some typical things like shadow daddies, which I will talk in the next video probably. But comparing this book to the new releases that are right now, I would rather read it like 3 times at least than read the new releases, because most of the things I hear about the new releases is that people DNF the book because the main male character is disgusting. He is acting like he owns the world and the female main character, and he's really mean to her and wanted to spice all the time. And I don't hear for the past year or so nothing about powers, nothing about politics or anything else. But what do you think, guys? Is there some new romantasy books that you actually enjoyed? Did you find any hidden gems that I overlooked? And if you did, just let me know below so I will be able to read them and maybe review them in the future. That's all for now. Thank you and bye bye!